Hello and welcome. I am Deputy Assistant Secretary David A. Vargas for the Real Estate Assessment Center in the Office of Public and Indian Housing. As part of our new charge for improved customer service and to facilitate communication with our clients throughout the United States, we're developing a series of training videos to help you better understand the various aspects of the physical inspection process, from requesting a database adjustment to how to file a technical review, as well as other important topics. These videos will give you the information you need to successfully navigate the REAC processes. Together, we share a common goal of providing decent, safe, and sanitary housing to the families we serve. Over the past months, we have met with our partners to determine the areas they believe are most in need of clarification. I trust these informational videos, along with our renewed commitment for reliable, replicable, and reasonable inspections, will be just the beginning of the improvements we will implement based on our discussions with you, and will result in a much enhanced experience for you, our partners in public and assisted housing.
Hello, my name is Doug Walters, Real Estate Analyst with HUD's Real Estate Assessment Center. Some of you have contacted our Technical Assistance Center requesting to appeal a physical inspection score. There are two ways to appeal a physical inspection score: a technical review or database adjustment. We will discuss the database adjustment in this segment of REAC's ongoing inspection tutorials. A request for a database adjustment initiates a review of the results of a physical inspection. A database adjustment may be requested for circumstances affecting the inspected property that are out of the ordinary, reflect an inconsistency with ownership, or allowed by city, county, and state codes. A database adjustment may address the following four areas: local conditions and exceptions, ownership matters, adverse conditions beyond the owner's control, and modernization work in progress. Local conditions and exceptions include inconsistencies between local code requirements and the Uniform Physical Condition Standards Inspection Protocol, such as conditions permitted by local variance or license or pre-existing physical features that do not conform to or are inconsistent with REAC's Physical Condition Protocol. For example, a blocked egress is captured in assisted living facilities when a window will only open 6 inches, preventing a resident from escaping. This captured deficiency would be in this category if it is allowed by the local code or life safety code. Ownership matters are deficiencies that were captured during the inspection that are not the responsibility of the public housing authority or property owner. Examples include sidewalks, roads, fences, and retaining walls owned and maintained by adjoining properties or the city, county, and state, and any resident-owned appliances that are not maintained by the public housing authority or property owner. Adverse conditions beyond the owner's control are deficiencies that can negatively affect an inspection score that are caused by circumstances beyond the public housing authority or property owner agent's control. Examples can include damage from a natural disaster or a third party or private entity working near a property. Points will be restored if appropriate documentation, such as a police report or weather report, is submitted during the appeals process. The property owner agent or public housing authority is still responsible for correcting such conditions. Modernization work in progress. Property and projects undergoing modernization work that's in progress at the time of the physical inspection may qualify for a database adjustment. All elements of the unit that are not undergoing modernization at the time of the inspection, even if modernization is planned, will be subject to REAC's Physical Inspection Protocol without adjustment. Documents required to substantiate work that is in progress can include an executed contract with start and completion dates and scope of work by building or unit to be performed. What does not qualify for a database adjustment? REAC will not accept any database adjustment requests without appropriate documentation. Deficiencies noted during the inspection that were corrected during or after the inspection do not qualify for a database adjustment. Database adjustments do not apply to circumstances addressed in the technical review process. Requests for technical reviews must be submitted separately from requests for database adjustments. How do I request a database adjustment? A property owner agent or public housing authority can initiate the database adjustment process by notifying the correct office in writing within the appropriate time period and submitting proper documentation to support the appeal. For example, a signed letter from your local building or fire code official for code variance. All requests for database adjustments can be made either prior to or after the physical inspection. The submission may be obtained on the World Wide Web at the following URL: hud.gov/offices/react/PDF_pass/PDF_form.pdf. Here is a sample of the form. The header contains all the pertinent information about the property. Midway on the form is where you address the cited item and deficiency observation, the reason for the request, and any additional comments to support your appeal. Again, examples of objective and verifiable documentation are dated pictures or video, signed and dated written material from an objective source such as a local fire marshal or building code official, or similar documentation that illustrates your concern. Written documentation other than from the fire marshal or local code official must be from a licensed professional whose expertise corresponds to the appealed inspectable item. This written documentation must be signed by the licensed expert and include his or her license number. For example, here we have an observed deficiency for a database adjustment concerning modernization in progress. The roof is undergoing modernization. Objective and verifiable documentation would be an executed contract including start and completion dates and scope of work and the location of the work to be done. The contract must be dated prior to the date of the inspection and have appropriate contact information. Documentation that's not considered objective or verifiable is a letter from the property owner agent or public housing authority stating the roof is undergoing renovation. Another common deficiency for DBA is a blocked egress due to bars in windows or air conditioners in windows like what you see here. Objective and verifiable documentation for this situation would be a letter from the local fire marshal stating that a window air conditioner or bars in the window are allowed under the local fire code, or that the marshal or a designee inspected the area in question and the cited deficiency does not pose any threat. The letter should include the reasoning for the decision, such as the air conditioner is not bolted in and can easily be removed to provide an emergency egress, or the unit has a sprinkler system. Documentation that's not considered objective or verifiable is a letter from the public housing authority or property owner agent saying the local fire code allows window air conditioners, or a letter from the PHA or property owner agent saying the tenant requires air conditioning. For public housing, a public housing authority must send a request for database adjustment within 15 days from the physical inspection report release date to the local PIH field office. The local PIH field office will review the database adjustment request and forward its recommendation to REAC. For multifamily housing, property owner agents must send a request for database adjustment within 45 days from the physical inspection report release date to the REAC Technical Assistance Center at the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, PIH/REAC, Attention Technical Assistance Center, TR/DBA 550 12th Street Southwest, Suite 100, Washington, D.C. 20410. What to expect? If the REAC evaluation determines that your request is justifiable, REAC will take one or a combination of the following actions: schedule a new inspection, correct the physical inspection report, issue a corrected physical inspection score, or issue a corrected public assessment system score. We will send a notification letter to the property owner agent or public housing authority explaining what action, if any, has occurred and why the database adjustment request has been approved or denied. Pre-database adjustment. Let's talk briefly about pre-database adjustment. When you send in an appeal with corresponding proper documentation wherein the deficiency captured conforms to the local code or pertains to ownership matters, the property ID is added to our pre-database list. This means when the subsequent inspection noted deficiency that received points was granted on a previous appeal, that specific deficiency will be deleted prior to the release of the new inspection report. This concludes our session on database adjustments. Thank you for visiting the Public and Indian Housing Real Estate Assessment Center. If you have any questions on this topic, please email us at reac_trdba@hud.gov. Again, that is reac_trdba@hud.gov.